Ring that bell, folks. Welcome in the ring. Is it safe to say the PPP are in trouble? Is it safe to say the PPP are in trouble? Ring that bell if you feel so, folks. Share the live and smash that emoji button as well. Good to see so many of you in the ring. Dolly Anderson, Debbie Collins, Vanessa De Silva, Winnell and Cheryl, Brenda, Evelina. Good to see each and every one of you. Cheryl Glenn, great to see you here one more time, folks. Is it safe to say the PPP are in trouble? You're going to be able to tell us, folks, how right we are. You will be able to tell us just how right we are, but we're happy that each and every one of you here with us, good folks. We are happy, delighted that all of you here with us. Pretty Milicia, Lyndon Gill, Anthony, Cheval, Debbie, Ian, Pamela, Sanchari, all you beautiful folks. Thanks for the thing, Pamela. Thanks for the thing. Who know? Who know? Thanks for the thing. Good to see Gloria Felix here as well, and all the other beautiful folks who are joining us tonight, guys. Pace and power. You know how we say it. Boots on the ground. Stay alive. Smash that emoji button, folks. Even in total agreement with us. Please and thank you. Share the live. Share. Share the live. Please and thank you. Rock and come in. Wherever you're joining us from, smash that emoji button. We've already had hundreds of you, literally hundreds of you joining us, folks. And don't let anything hold you back from smashing that button. Great to see each and every one of you here with us, good folks. Great to see each and every one of you here with us. Share that live for us. Smash that emoji button, folks, and others get valid and credible information as well. And again, wherever you're joining us from, welcome in the ring. We're making sure Rosetta Barton is hearing us clearly, and Shireen Baines is hearing us clearly as well. Pace and Power, whatever page you're joining us from, make sure you like that page. We hope that the majority of you joining us from the tube, share the live, guys. Smash that emoji button. Debbie Collins, Sharon Mercurius, good to have you here, Sharon, and Onessa Wardine. Good to see you, Onessa. All the other folks like Thomasina Ben joining us. Good night to you, folks. Michaela, Andrew Coates, Lyndon Gill is joining us as well, folks. We are happy that you folks are here with us. Share the live, smash that emoji button if you're from a page that we're now coming through to. We're now coming through to. You ain't mismatch. You ain't mismatch. Welcome in the ring to each and every one of you folks. We got the fight card set. You got it set. I ain't said it's set for all of you. No exceptions. For each and every one of you folks, officially welcome in the ring. Welcome. I'm becoming undone at the back this side. Welcome, of course. We start with the opener. Y'all know where we're going, folks. We start with the opener. Yep. A lot's being said by the Attorney General, Mr. Anand Nandlal. A lot is being said, folks, and that's why we want a lot of folks to get valid, credible information. That's why we're asking that you share that live, folks, that you smash that emoji button, folks, and others get valid and credible information as well. Because you all know we pursue the truth wherever it leads. That's what we're about, pursuing the truth, folks, wherever it leads. And Anil name calling before the High Court calling in this circular that was issued from the Guyana, from the Ministry of Education here in Guyana. His name is calling, folks. His name is calling, and it seems as though prima facie that the Attorney General is saying that he already knows the outcome of this case that's before the court, and that they're going to still deduct, make deductions to teacher's salary. It seems that's what the learned Attorney General is saying. Take a look, folks, the opener, and take a listen.
Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal has stated that Justice Sandil Kisoon has only granted temporary measures prohibiting the government from deducting the salaries of teachers and their union dues because only their side was heard in court. He added that the decision only puts the government's position of deducting the salaries and union dues on pause and has not completely ruled it out.
These are temporary orders. These are not permanent orders. The case is still ongoing. The judge explained very clearly that he is granting these orders to preserve the status quo so that the case can be heard and fully determined. Because at that point in time, the judge had only heard one side, only the GTU case was before the court. The ministry's case or the government's case was not yet before the court.
He added that based on misrepresentation made by the union, the impression was that the decision is permanent and the government is constrained from making the deductions. Because of this, teachers who were ill-advised continue to stay away from work thinking that they will be paid.
Apparently, based upon misrepresentations made by the union, the impression was conveyed that these orders were permanent and that the case is concluded and that therefore the government is permanently restrained from deducting salaries from teachers and from stopping its decision to deduct union dues. That impression apparently was conveyed. And the teachers apparently were ill-advised that the case is completed and that they can continue to stay away from work and that they will be paid.
Andalal said that he is convinced that in the end, the case for the government will prevail and the temporary orders will be discharged. As such, the salaries of striking teachers will be deducted.
And I am convinced that in the end, the case for the government ought to prevail. And when that happens, the interim orders will have to be discharged. I can't imagine that the law would be turned upside down, where an employer will be compelled to pay for work not being done by the employee.
He added that the government will not continue to collect union dues due to the financial books, which have not been audited by the Auditor General for over 20 years.
Yeah, that was the opener, folks. I thought the judge was very, very, very definitive. Very definitive. And I haven't heard anybody out there saying that, this case was final. I didn't hear that. I don't know where he picked it up from, but we wanted to upset you folks as soon as we started. So that was the opener. And folks, the chief education officer was summoned today before the court. We can get into that in a little bit. We can get into that because Daniel come out with a very convoluted thing. A very convoluted thing. I don't know if he's trying to influence the process here by saying that he's convinced. I know he's been convinced every time and lost a lot of cases. Lost a lot of cases, very convinced. Just the same. Very convinced, just the same. Very misinformed too. Very misinformed, like he was on the circular. Right? And then you heard him saying there about them, they're still not taking money from the union. Then the judge said that should not be stopped. But like they're bigger than the courts in this country. That's the impression that we're getting. That these cats are bigger than the courts. We can see how that turns out, folks. That was the opener. We're going to circle back to some of that later on. The chief education officer dragged before the court. But let's bring you guys up to speed with some of what we're picking up, folks. Internationally, Trump. It's all about Trump and Gaza, of course. Folks, a hospital in Gaza, this is the Kamal Adwan Hospital, says they're out of fuel. And as a result, out of service. This thing getting real terrible now. People should have to live under these constraints. War, no war. We have been going here again. United Nations, rock can come in anytime now. They said the reportage in the international media is that the hospital said they gone out of service. You got people in a conflict zone, can't get health care. That's a double whammy. That's a double whammy. United Nations anytime now. Anytime now you can rock and come in. Yeah, that's some what we're covering, folks. Internationally as well. Take a look at this. Appeal denied. Trump, Gaza. Trump and Gaza are dominating international headlines. Appeal denied. He wanted a stay of this appeal. He wanted a stay of the judgment of 464 million US dollars in that in that case concerning the Attorney General of New York. The Justin, not a bit of it. He gonna lodge $100 million as bond, right? He's coming out a case where the Attorney General there in New York says he might have conspired, bloat his network and all of that. Banks were compromised and all manner of things because of his kind sense of deal making, and he now want to make a deal with the judge. He can lodge 100 million US in lieu of 464 million. The judge said not a bit of it, Trump. Not a bit of it. Yo, they're selling dreams. Appeal denied. Fork up the money. Fork up the money. Claim he got so much, how much ever? Billion, $2, $3, $4 billion. Just say, fork up the money, Mr. Deal Maker. Don't come around with funny like that. Don't do it. You know, they got some folks that all went like that. Oh, they could talk a good talk. They could talk a good talk. I think we now turn attention a little bit of what's happening there in Jamaica. Is that it? Calling it by memory, yeah? Calling it by memory, folks. This is what's happening here in Jamaica. Oh, this was a nail biter here. This was a photo finish. The JLP, the Jamaica Labour Party, they've eked out 7 out of 13, let's say, constituencies, to put it simply. 7 out of 13, they're tied in 2. And while the Gleaner editorial says that the opposition, Mr. Golin, can claim an outright victory, they said he got a lot to talk about because it's a close call in 2 of them, folks. And the editorial in the Gleaner says, electors, citizens are sending a very clear message. Voters sent a clear message to the ruling party there in Jamaica. They do not like what they're doing. Yep, a clear message. That's what the editorial out of the Gleaner says. The electorate sent to the Jamaica Labour Party because it had 9 seats the last time. And now it's hanging on for dear life. Barely got a majority there. Barely got a majority there. And the opposition has made several inroads. I'm telling you what the folks say. The People's National Party, the PNP, has made a lot of inroads into the JLP's territory. So we're watching this, folks. We are watching this. It was what you call a photo finish. When last you heard that phrase? A photo finish. We're watching it. Could this be something, a fresh wind in the region? Elections tend to go this way, you know. Something starts in Jamaica, could be ebbing its way in other directions, in other localities and geographies in the Caribbean. So a big win here. Well, a win for the JLP looks like it's going to go that way. 7 out of 13. Looks like it's going to go that way. But they had a massive win the last time. This time, not so much. And again, folks, the important here is that the editorial out of the Gleaner says a message is being sent. And it also talks a little bit about how Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister there, and leader of the JLP, the Jamaica Labour Party, seemed to strike a middle tone there, a balance. Very optimistic at the prospect of his party, and yet listening to what, hopefully, to what the electorate is saying. Listening, them folks don't listen. They do everything. They do the whole thing. They don't have time to listen. And that's somewhat, folks, we're picking up around the region as we draw near to home. You all know once we come here. Oh, jeez, I can do the half Chinese and the cooks. You all know, once we come in the 592, nope, don't do it. Don't do it. We're watching the clock. Look like we got another half hour in us here, folks. Don't do it. Once we come here, got deal with them boys. All kind of creatures, full animal farm. Full animal farm. I want you all know, look at that. Don't come running funny. Look like a statesman. Talking about the president of Brazil. Looks like a statesman that we come out. Folks, welcome home. You all know once we come in, we ain't got immigration problems, folks. Passport intact, everything. Once we come here, good night each and every one of you. Wherever you fantastic folks joining us from, Pretty Felicia is here. We've got June Peppers, Wanda, and Annette. Ansing is here with us too. Debbie Collins is here. Jean and Anita. King of Kings. Good to have you here as well. Eva Mattis, Garnett Leslin, Spurley, all the other folks. Rastaman, Junior Henry, Auntie Sandra Hanover, Bradham, Brataps. Good to have you here. Joylyn, Vashti, Magnot, Rupert, and all the other folks who are joining us. It's such a privilege to have each and every one of you here. And as I said, once we come here, Loretta and Robert, Joylyn and Janet, let's tell Donna, once we come in this direction here, y'all know it's what? Yeah, yeah. It's full animal farm, folks. Full animal farm. Once you come here, full. But that being said, we got to deal with the things. We got to deal with the things, and we got to deal with respect and manners, folks. Respect and manners, as I said. The president of Brazil is here with us, folks. Huge convoy blazing, we saw into the city today, carrying the Brazilian president Lula Inácio de Silva, Lula de Silva, and his entourage, his team, racing through the city there, heading for some high-level, high-powered meetings, folks. Yep. Welcome to the president of Brazil and his delegation. He looked like a statesman. You should see him among the other folks there, the 46th CARICOM Heads of Government meeting also happening in Georgetown, and him being a part of that too, inserting himself there, being invited, right? A number of things came out of the meeting today. You'll hear from him in a second. And just struck a little cut above our own president, and for such a huge economy and such a mover and shaker in world affairs and international politics, repose with such calm and such grace as a president and a head of state should. Not like the Almighty, always. You know me? Very calmly and serenely and stately, as he should. And the Irfan Ali spoke about his importance to not only Guyana, but also the region. He's quite correct, right? He is quite correct. He says it's critical, as he was talking to international media. Take a look and take a listen.
President Irfan Ali says that the role of Brazil's Luiz Inácio Lula in the region is critical. He said in an interview during the break in the CARICOM summit that there are many issues critical to the region. These include food security, climate, and energy security.
Well, I see President Lula's role in the region as critical. He has, I think, great responsibility on his shoulders to provide regional leadership. He has already been doing so. He has reached out to both Guyana and Venezuela. He has ensured that Brazil participated in the initiative, the Argyle initiative, led by CARICOM. He is a stabling voice, a voice of reason.
He said that Lula has a crucial role in the peace and stability in the region,
to ensure that all parties abide and act in the confines of international law and respect for international law.
President Lula has been offering support for Guyana against any invasion by Venezuela. Brazil has provided troops in the southern border shared by Brazil, Guyana, and Venezuela. Brazil has also played a key role in brokering talks between Guyana and Venezuela over the territorial issue ahead of the World Court ruling.
Yep, that's what our boy said. Lula Inácio Lula de Silva, president of Brazil, is in Guyana. We want to welcome him and his team. And as we said, he was such a cut above, talking there about how Brazil has a very strategic role, not only in Latin America, in this region, in the Caribbean, internationally as well, and how they had recoiled from some of that. I know he was knocking Bolsonaro, Jair Bolsonaro, even a friend. I know he's hitting Bolsonaro. He said they recoiled a little bit. The way Trump had done in the US too, pulled back from international affairs and asserting itself on the world stage there. He said, but they've reconsidered all of that. They have reconsidered all of leadership must lead. A light set on a hill cannot be hidden, and you don't have to run around forcing down people's throat. This is a light set on a hill. People will know that when they see it, when they feel the effects of it. They will know this is a light set on a hill. And talking there to CARICOM leaders that they're going to be reasserting themselves on the regional stage and also internationally as well. Take a listen to some of what the president of Brazil said, folks. Take a listen.
I would like to say, first of all, that it's with great joy that I'm here
Quero
among
cumprimentar
CARICOM comrades again.
companheiro Fanales, presidente da República Cooperativa da Guiana.
I would like to greet Mr. President of Guyana.
Quero cumprimentar
I would like to greet
o chefe de Estado e de
the other heads
governo.
of state and government.
E quero tratar de companheiros e companheiras nessa reunião.
And I would like to address myself to all of you as brothers and sisters in this meeting.
Países da CARICOM, o Brasil,
Countries like CARICOM and Brazil
foram durante muito tempo
stayed away for a long time,
colonizados.
and we were colonized.
E quando eu cheguei à presidência do Brasil em 2003,
And when I reached the presidency of Brazil in
eu descobri
2003,
que nós tínhamos uma deficiência nas nossas políticas internacionais.
I discovered that we had a deficiency in our international policies.
A gente tinha aprendido durante muitos séculos
We had learned for many centuries
de que a nossa relação era com o nosso colonizador.
that our main relationship in the international field should
Ou
be
a
with the
nossa
colonizer,
relação era com os estados ricos.
or our relationship should be only with the so-called rich countries.
O Brasil vivia de costa para a América do Sul.
Brazil lived turning its back to the South America,
O Brasil vivia de costa para a América Latina.
turned its back to Latin America.
O Brasil vivia de costa para os países do Caribe.
Brazil turned its back to the Caribbean countries.
O Brasil não olhava para o continente africano.
Brazil was not looking either towards the African
E o
continent.
Brasil olhava para a União Europeia, para os Estados Unidos.
Brazil was looking only towards the European Union and to the USA.
Sempre uma ideia fixa
Always with a fixed idea,
de que esse olhar para os países mais ricos
this gaze towards the rich countries
iria despertar interesse dos países ricos fazer investimentos no Brasil.
would arouse some interest from the rich countries to invest in Brazil.
Em 2003, nós tomamos uma decisão
But in 2003, when I took office, we made a decision
de priorizar nossa relação
to prioritize our relationship
com os países da América do Sul, da América Latina,
with the countries in South America and in Latin America,
países que fazem parte da CARICOM
the countries that are members of CARICOM
e o continente africano.
and the African continent.
É importante lembrar
It's also important to
que o
remember
Brasil já teve embaixadora e embaixador fixo em todos os países da CARICOM.
Brazil had already in the past resident embassies and ambassadors in all CARICOM countries.
E nós aprendemos uma lição com tudo isso.
And we learned a lesson with all this.
É que muitas vezes as relações, levando em conta a similaridade dos nossos países,
Is that the similarities that we have, taking account the realities of our
nos
country,
ajuda muito mais
helps us much more
do que ficar na dependência de uma ajuda do nosso colonizador.
than to rely simply with the aid coming from our former colonizers.
Por isso, a minha alegria de estar de volta à Guiana.
And that's why I'm so happy to be back here to Guyana.
Sobretudo, de participar da 46ª Conferência de Chefes de Estado da Comunidade do Caribe,
And mainly to participate in this session of the 46th Conference of Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community.
em 2005, tive a honra de participar de uma cúpula como esta no Suriname.
Yeah, happy to be back, he says. Happy to be back. And I want you folks to understand I want you all to understand what's happening here. Right? You don't have to say I'm a statesman. It shows when you're a cut above the others. And I've had the privilege of seeing it a couple of times in my lifetime. That was one. Here is a man who's been president for a little bit. He understands the region, Latin America, South America, and the Caribbean. He understands international affairs. This is a fellow who was the world's most popular president for a very long time. For a very long time. Understands the nature of politics. He has been briefed. He has read his notes. And he knows his history. And he's speaking extemporaneously about Brazil's place in the world. I see y'all by the box and through some notes. Catfish, you know what I'm talking about. I see the box and through some notes trying to find the place with a pen and paper and so on. You see? Speaking extemporaneously, he's been briefed. He knows where the notes are. He knows what's in the notes. But he's also an experienced leader. That's what we have here. And so he's unhurried. He doesn't have to raise his voice. He understands who he is in the room that he is in. Right? He is not going on anybody's clock. He's on his own clock. And he's taking his time. And he's massaging those issues there. International affairs, Latin American affairs, Brazilian history, and all of that. The last time I saw something like that, it was about 2010, 2011. Barack Obama was in the region. It was a similar confabulation of CARICOM in Trinidad and Tobago. We had Daniel Ortega, who had given a tirade against the West. We don't remember that too much. Obama spoke there in Trinidad. The rest is history. Caribbean leaders looked small in the shadow. And that's why we've been wasting so much time with these talk tanks and not really delivering for people. And that is why Holiness in Jamaica got to reassess. Because they got a general elections on them. He got to reassess what's happening there. But Lula, elected by an overwhelming majority after the presidency of Jair Bolsonaro, understands who he is in that room and is speaking to fellow heads of government with such ease, such charisma, and such class. You don't see it often. Despite his politics, you have to admire it when you see it. And that is the thing that statesmen and women are made of. And y'all boys can take a page out of the books. Yep, ring the bell one time for Lula. Ring it one time for Lula there, good folks. Ring it one time for Lula. As we welcome him and his delegation to our shores. Pace and power, folks. Pace and power. Yep, we're following that among some other things. For your information as we move along, good folks. For your information, who with us? We got the visiting UK minister, Mr. David Rutley, also with us. He's the Minister for the Americas, Caribbean, and Overseas Territories. And he says there, the sidelines of this 46th CARICOM heads of government meeting, that we will continue to support Guyana. We thank the UK for their support. We were a former colony. The rest is history. We thank them for their continued support. Because if we had independence, these jagabats here, these transcripers here, we'd be waiting a very long time. We know how it goes. If it wasn't for them, that Burma Road would have been cancelled. That project, Linden to Latem. What's the first piece of it? I think I'm getting it wrong. The Mabura Road would have been cancelled. But the British said, if you pass the project or cancel it, we take back the money. So when you see they go on there and cutting ribbon and talk about how visionary they are, who no. That's what we gotta understand our political history, our social, economic history in this country. So when they run up to you, when they run out, you just go and fact check them. But we want to thank the British. You go and you fact check them quick. Folks, a couple of things here. Signs of the times. Signs of the never dull moment. The mother of the young man who met his demise on a fence, electrocuted while they were picking fruits on somebody's land. The mother said, I prayed and cried. Can you imagine a parent's anguish for young Hakim John? I see conflicting reports. One part of me says he was a teenager, another part says he was 22. He was a young man, unauthorized. A few reports says, gone to pick fruits. Climbing over the fence, he's electrocuted, and you know the rest. The farmer came, saw the body there, and he in turn said, he can burn the body. At least that's what some of the reporting saying. Mother said, I prayed and I cried for his safe return. Prayed and cried. Parents' anguish. Signs of the times in this country, folks. Signs of the times. Every day, something weird, something out of the ordinary. Prayed and cried. Mother said, children, we got to continue. We can't give up. We got to continue to raise up that child, bring up that child in the way he or she ought to go. The good book says, and in the end, they're going to depart from it, hopefully. In the end, we're not going to depart from it. Mother said, I prayed and cried. Prayed and cried. Hakim John's mother said, prayed and cried. We know the result, folks. You and I know the result. We gotta keep fighting for our kids. We gotta keep fighting for our kids. Don't let's give up on them. Mothers and fathers out there, don't let's give up on them. We gotta keep fighting for our kids. Relentlessly. Going after our kids. Relentlessly. Right. And of course, this child has been missing since November last year. The friends recently went to the police and told them what happened. Right? The mother Sharon Jones says, I remember what he looked like the last time I spoke with him. Now it's going to be a memory etched in her mind's eye for a long time. Prayed and cried. Look, story here now. East Quarantine woman shot yesterday. Faith Samaru, 54, was on her way home. On her way home, folks. Shot. Right? And police are still trying to investigate all the circumstances surrounding the shooting. And that has not been made clear by the authorities, but she's currently, thankfully, seeking medical attention, they tell us, at a hospital, warded at a hospital there in the region. Tuesday night, she left East she left East Kanji, they said. On her way home, shot. Never dull moment, folks. Never a dull moment in the 590. Never. Be careful out there, folks. Be careful out there. Never dull moment. Right? And every day you go out and come in. You gotta thank the father upstairs, folks. You gotta thank the man upstairs. Never. The current government said they had a strategy for crime prevention. Still waiting for that. 3.5 years later, heading to 4. Still waiting for that. This crime strategy, this crime plan. Still holding for that, folks. We can watch to see where that goes. Businessman. What kind of business he in? Busted with illegal gun and ammo, drugs, a quantity of marijuana, they said. Andrew Williams found himself on the wrong side of the law. Can't carry weapons you don't have authorization for, you don't have a license for. Come on, folks. We can tell you. Found himself on the wrong side of the law. You know, you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Carrying a gun without a permit, without a license is illegal. What's the matter with us in this country? What's the matter with us in this country? And then we told you guys about this marijuana business we see stepping up. A lot of land now no longer planting sugar, no longer planting rice. Going to marijuana. Large amounts of marijuana coming out of Region 6, coming out of Region 5. What's the matter with us in this country? But them boys would want to tell us sugar making a comeback. Clear the way. Sugar coming back. You know, they want to tell us rice coming back. But good luck with that. Good luck with that. You can't do it. You can't do the time. Good folks, friends. Right? Don't do the crime. It's simple. It's simple. Look surreal now. You can look and see projects this government is awarding. You'll follow a political map. Friends, family, favorites, and followers. You can follow it. We look to see who is getting what. Big announcement. A $2 billion water plant, folks, is coming to Bath. It's coming to Bath. People need more water than bear, but I can tell you. People need more water than bear. $2 billion. This billion with a capital bill. $2 billion, folks. Yep. You know how it goes. Be happy for the people at Bath. Be happy for the people. No, you don't have no contention there, you know. Oh, we got to look at development and everybody got to get a piece and public servants and so on. You don't hear all of those setbacks. You don't hear all of those restrictions. You see, and the caveats and so on. You don't hear none of that. You know it's here? Rock and come in. That's all it is here, folks. When you look and see who's getting what of this largesse we're getting from the oil there and the economy, you know, you see a political map. Over to you, PPP. Long time gone, though. Short time come. That's one of the things we're following. Let us turn our attention now to them boys. Frontally and fully. Frontally and fully. Let us turn our attention in their direction. Yep. Y'all know them. That's all. You know the whole animal farm. All of them. This man living up to name, you know. Living up to name. If you hear the Kakameme story, well, Saddam Hussein, that's a fella's name. Saddam, he pays rank for that. Saddam Hussein was hauled before the High Court today, summoned by the judge, Sandil Kisoon. The judge stated two things. And he was clear. I don't care how Anil passed it. Right? You could come quote two big words and then you do your legal gymnastics. The judge says, pending the outcome of the case. That's what everybody heard clearly. Pending the outcomes of the case. Not that it was the finality. It was the final decision. Not that the case was over. Pending the outcome of the case, the government shall not cut teachers' salary for days absent from school, being on the strike line. And the government shall continue to remit the union dues. Yeah. Well, Saddam Hussein, he said he bigger than the law. He is bigger than the law. He circulated, being chief education officer, a missive that teachers must continue, or the school must continue to educate teachers that are absent because salaries are going to be deducted. The judge said, what? I can see Sandil Kisoon drinking it and say, what the fudge? What's going on here? Look, get me my clerk. Missive. Meet me in chambers tomorrow. Meet me in chambers tomorrow. Right? That's what happened today. Contempt. If I say, do not withhold teachers' salary, in part or on the whole because they are striking, and you saying something totally different, that can only mean one thing. You don't care what the court say. You don't care what the court say. See if y'all make any sense. And it's a he in contempt. And it said it was a miss. The learned attorney general, right? The learned attorney general said it was a misunderstanding, right? He said that he was the one who told them what should be in the missive. Yes. Judge said all of that. He was the one who told them what should be in the circular. So Hussein was acting on instructions. He advised them. I didn't see the final thing. Here the convoluted legal gymnastics that Anil ran out with because he said that the media got it wrong. He wasn't found guilty of contempt. A little bit of anything here. Take a listen to your lady.
Today, Mr. Hussein was summoned to the court by Justice Sandil Kisoon to show cause why he should not be committed for contempt. I appear for Mr. Hussein, and after some exchange, I was able to make representation on behalf of Mr. Hussein. I made it clear to the judge that it is not the intention of the government of Guyana or any of its officers to disrespect the court system, the administration of justice, or to disobey any court orders. That the circular that Mr. Hussein issued came out of an engagement that I had with the Ministry of Education officials in relation to the case. At that engagement, it was reported that the teachers were being informed by the union, rather misinformed by the union, that deductions will not ever be made from their salaries, that the case is concluded, and that they can continue to work and there will be no penalty. To dispel that misinformation, I advised that the Ministry of Education continue to make a record of the absences of teachers and to inform or clarify that the order of the judge is temporary and that at the end of the day, when all of this is finished, teachers' salaries will be deducted for the period that they have not worked because that is the law. No work, no pay. And I asked that that be sent out in a circular. Unfortunately, the circular was not shown to me prior to it being sent out. And when it was drawn to my attention, it was already sent out. I will concede that it was not expressed in the best language possible and that it is capable of some unfortunate interpretation. And the judge recognized himself that it was capable of multiple interpretations, some of which are not good for the administration of justice. I agree that it is capable of more than one interpretation, and one of those interpretations or some of those interpretations can have an adverse impact on the administration of justice and even cast aspersions on the court itself. Mr. Hussein was invited by the judge to speak, to explain his position, and he did so very eloquently and very clearly. I believe that he was able to persuade the judge that whatever mistake was made was not intentional. He reiterated his and the ministry's intention never to disobey any order of court, and certainly it was not their intention to disobey the order of court in this instance. He acceded to the contention that the memorandum or the circular was not worded in the best possible language, and he offered to rescind it. The judge accepted the invitation that the offer that Mr. Hussein has made, and I believe the judge eventually was persuaded that there was no intention to bring the administration of justice into disrepute, or any intention was evinced to violate the order of court or any order of court. So that is what brought that proceedings to an end. So it's completely wrong and misleading for reporters who are present in court to now say to the public that Mr. Hussein was found guilty of contempt of court. There was no hearing. The contempt proceedings was not tried on its merits. There was an engagement between the judge, the attorney general, and Mr. Hussein. And the judge, I believe, was satisfied that no contempt of court was committed, and the matter died a natural death. Today,
Yeah. There you have it, folks. There you have it. And it seems to me that the very thing the Attorney General is saying that the chief education officer's action and missive, action and omissions had the potential of doing, he's doing the same thing. And by extension, the CEO, the chief education officer's actions are the AG's actions. He said he advised the fella. He procured him to write this missive that the court said brought the work of the court into disrepute. And here is how he might be doing the same thing. Then he just said, even when the court matter finished, the salaries will still be deducted. If the judge, in his own deliberate judgment, says not to halt the union dues from being remitted to the union, not to deduct the salaries from the teachers, isn't there a possibility that the court will not order that? He says, no, regardless of all of that. You just heard the learned AG says no, the salary can be deducted. So I told him to go ahead and tell them that if they continue to absent themselves, the law is the law. And no judge can talk to that. That's according to him. Because he know more law than everybody. And then Jagdio know more law than he. Right? This is the same fella. Might I remind you that the Caribbean Court of Justice said, brought the administration of justice into disrepute. The administration of justice by the Caribbean Court of Justice, the same Attorney General, learned Attorney General, who know more law than Sandil Kisoon, who know more law than the whole High Court combined and the Court of Appeal. The Caribbean Court of Justice said, this same fellow brought the administration of justice of the Caribbean Court of Justice. He's the only attorney who has that distinction. He's the only Attorney General who has that distinction of bringing the process of justice of the Caribbean Court of Justice into disrepute. And he said he advised the CEO, the chief education officer, but he didn't see the missive. He didn't see the letter before he sent it out. And I concede it could have the thing of misinterpretation. It could have. Right? But then the judge saw with him and he has rescinded. They haven't won anything yet. The desperate, have they won anything yet? Desperation setting in. And that's why they're carrying some of these matters that the magistrates court dismissed. They want to know what the High Court can say now. They know they don't have a slim chance of a win. Right? But I want to frustrate people. They got to dig deep. Another loss for them. The Judge Hall, the CEO, the Chief Education Officer, Saddam Hussein, said, what you doing here? And he said he went to plea mercy. He said he advised the man. Right? It's not the first time we're seeing this, It's not the first time we're seeing them float in the court, flying in the face of the court. You all remember, brothers and sisters at home and abroad, you all remember when that case of the parliamentary secretaries was decided? The Chief Justice said they were squatting in the National Assembly. They were there illegally. The two appointed parliamentary secretaries. But he didn't know more law than the Chief Justice himself. He said he know more law than the Chief Justice. Right? And though the Chief Justice said that they were sitting illegally, he said he can pull 2 seats for them. You remember that? You all remember that? They don't like structures. They don't like the court system. They don't like the judiciary. And that is why you don't see them appointing the Chief Justice and the Chancellor to the substantive positions. They're going to wait them out like they're trying to wait out the teachers until they retire. And then they can put whoever they want to put there. Because it is their ardent desire, the PPP, to undermine the course of justice. He has the distinction of being the lone attorney, the single attorney in this entire region, that the Caribbean Court of Justice said brought the administration of justice into disrepute, the same way Saddam Hussein had the potential of doing there and then, thanks to the Attorney General. But he said he didn't see the circular. When he heard all that was happening, he didn't try to pull it back. You see how this government is operating? Squeeze the teachers. Squeeze them. However tight you can squeeze them. And even in its deliberate judgment, Justice Sandal Kissoon sought to bring this matter, right, to some semblance of sanity, and sought to bring some civility to the matter. And the judge says, I recommend that there is mediation between the two parties. He said it cannot be in the public interest to have this war going on. It can't be to the parents' interest, to the children's interest, that teachers are out there striking. And he is advising on mediation, that they are mediators or a mediator, and that the two sides could sit down. Nobody's equal to the people. That's why they don't want to sit down with nobody. They don't believe that anybody's of their caliber. So they won't sit down with you like that. They talk down to you. You have to sit at their feet and be taught the law, because they know more law than anybody else. The judge said there should be mediation. Right? And suddenly, he can't speak for the government. All of a sudden, suddenly, Judge, hold on. Judge, hold on. I can't talk for the collective. Suddenly, he said, there's a person, I can pull two seats. Me came with the Chief Justice. I can pull two chairs for them to sit down in National Assembly. Sandal Kissoon said no deductions. The CEO still sent a circular saying there will be deductions. But say, I didn't really mean it. I didn't really mean it. Listen to some of what the learned Attorney General said about the mediation that the judge, Sandal Kissoon, was offering the parties, the Guyana Teachers Union and the government.
The judge invited the parties, the union and the government of Guyana, to consider re-engaging or engaging. The judge, I suppose, exercising mediatory powers, which the court has in any given case, said that he would like to see the parties talking, as the public good is not served by this continuous strike action. I indicated to the court that the government would like to see the teachers in the school. The judge also said that he wants to see the parties at a table talking. The judge wanted me to give a commitment that this will take place. I respectfully informed the judge that I act on behalf of a collective, and I'm only one member of that collective, and I need to get the collective's opinion and guidance before I commit them to any course of action. The judge even invited me to suggest a mediator. Again, I indicated to the court that the court is putting me in a rather invidious position of unilaterally determining on behalf of a collective who a possible mediator should be. Again, I invited the court to give me an opportunity to speak with the government of Guyana, which is the collective to which I'm referring, and report back to the court. Tomorrow, the case has been adjourned for tomorrow at 3 p.m. for me to make such a report. So I just thought that I'll put that on the public record personally, because I know, well, not I know, I fear that it will be the subject of misinformation again. So I thank you very much.
Yeah, that's what he said. they don't want misinformation. Yeah, the masters of misinformation. You got like them. The masters of misinformation. He said, I don't want misinformation there. I don't want misinformation. Right? They don't want the mediation process, you know. They don't like sitting down as equals with nobody. They're masters of the universe. They don't need advice from nobody. They would never want to be in a position where they're talking as equals with anybody, like how Lula was in a room talking with equals. Calm and collective. Talking with equals. First among equals. Not them. No, not them. Folks, if we abort and negate that ability, that most fundamental of abilities in democratic society, to sit down and talk, irrespective of how protracted, retracted the issues may be, there is going to be some serious trouble. When you believe you got an enemy you can't talk to, you're in trouble. And you know, former ambassador to Kuwait, Professor Shamir Ali, makes a point that even with all the conflict in the Middle East, with Gaza and Gully, the Palestinians and Israel, people are still talking in that process. You got other theaters of conflict in the world, Ukraine and Russia. Men are still talking. You have the will of the people, widely accepted to be so, attempted to be overturned in the United States, the great United States of America. You saw what happened on January 6th. Republicans and Democrats are still talking. But these small men, like Nandalal and Arfan Ali, small men in world affairs, believe that they're too big to sit down and talk. Shamir Ali says it's not so. And that's the closer, folks. Former ambassador of Kuwait, we got to talk, he says.
There was a recent meeting of the Alliance for Change and the United States Ambassador Nicole Theriot on a number of issues. AFC Executive Kathy Hughes at an AFC forum said that the group told the ambassador that there was continuing concern
that what we call the guardrails of a true democracy are being eroded. And so we did raise that with her, the fact that Parliament is not working as best as it should. There's so many issues that are not allowed to be discussed. And then, of course, we discussed the fact that so many of these big projects, we only hear of a big announcement. The opposition is not consulted. Civil society is not consulted. We're not made aware. And that seemed to really horrify her.
The shock on the part of the ambassador was that the government shouldn't be the only decider of development in the country. Ms. Hughes said that there is no paucity of money in Guyana at this time.
At the end of the day, this country is making $7.5 million a day. $7.5 million a day from oil. And we can't give the teachers better than 6.5%.
This comment was sparked by the current teachers' strike. Dr. Shamir Ali, Guyana's former ambassador to Kuwait, said that when President Irfan Ali and Vice President Jagdeo were in the opposition, they made many utterances in support of teachers and the public servants.
Everybody knows in Guyana, it's no secret that the civil servants deserve much more. Mm-hmm. His Excellency, President Ali, when he was in the opposition, there are the tapes going around in social media. Mm-hmm. His Excellency, Vice President Jagdeo, his comments are in. It is purely that they have missed the bus and they do not have the civil servants in the top of the list.
In the face of the strike, he hopes that better judgment will prevail.
I'm being besieged with calls, including from Qatar. If it's the same country that they're seeing all this strike and disunity, but they're not seeing it when they arrive, especially a few placards. The researchers and the staff are doing their due diligence and they're coming up, and because I have personal relationships, I'm being bombarded with requests and answer, and my style is I don't like to give them my opinion. I send them a link.
He said that the Constitution prescribes that the Ministry of Labor should be the mediator. An observation is that Israelis and Palestinians are talking, It is the same with Russia and Ukraine. In Guyana, there seems to be no move toward conflict resolution, according to Dr. Ali.
Yep, that was the closer, folks. That was the closer. Ali, former ambassador to Kuwait. We gotta talk, folks. We gotta talk. That being said, that being that's what I say. That being said, I want to thank you guys for being with us this evening. Thanks to each and every one of you for spending this time with us, folks. That being said, that's our time. That's our program. Cheryl, thanks for being here. Marcia, Debbie, Jacqueline, Joylyn, Donna, Marcia, Lennox, Ian, Ian, thank you for being here with us. Van Classic, Enid, and all the other folks, Auntie Sandra, Hanover. And folks, that's the last bell. That one. That's the last bell, folks. Thanks for being here. Ray Andrews and Donna Miller, Enid Elliott, Edward Brooms, Wendy Denny. Have a fantastic evening. Claire Alexis, Charmley Richmond. I see you there, Claire. I see you there, Desmond Harris, Wenda Hudson. Thank you. Lester William, thanks for being here. Margaret, thank you for being here as well. And I see John is here. John and Jamal Aziz. Jamal. Thanks for the things as always, Jamal. Edward Brooms, we see you to Julian Mars and all you other fantastic folks joining us. Share the live stream before you go, and those coming back to watch us. Smash that emoji button for us, folks, and consider partnering with us too to keep us going. We've shared that link, folks, and we'll continue to do so. Help us to meet the obligations we have at our end. That being said, folks, that's our time and that's our program.